And we invite to the microphone at this juncture Dr. Terrence Marryshow, Morris Bishop, October Martyrs Foundation. A little surprise will follow him.
Thank you, Brother Chairman. Governor General, Her Excellency Dame Cecile Lagrenade, Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell, Ministers of Government, President of the Senate, Speaker of the House of Representatives, members of the Diplomatic Corps, members of the clergy. A special welcome to our Cuban collaborators and medical brigade, providing invaluable medical assistance to Grenada. And we'd also like to recognize the presence of the members of the ex-PRA Welfare Association. Welcome to our special guest, Dr. Ron Daniels and his team from the Institute of Black World 21st Century, and my good friend David Abdullah from the Oilfield Workers Trade Union and the Movement for Social Justice. Families of the victims of October the 19th, 1983, sisters and brothers all. The tragic events of October 1983 have always evoked bitter memories. On this day 40 years ago, our beloved Prime Minister Morris Bishop, several of his cabinet colleagues and many innocent Grenadians were martyred at Fort Rupert when the guns of the revolution were turned on the masses, killing many and making it the bloodiest and most tragic day in our entire modern-day history. Those actions violated the most sacred law of the revolution and brought the revolution to a screeching halt and an untimely demise. That kind of violent resolution to an internal conflict was unprecedented, not only in Grenada, but in the entire English Caribbean, who had never before experienced anything so horrific. The struggle for this day to be recognized as a national day of prayer and reflection and a national holiday has been a long and arduous one. There was absolutely no problem for the government of the day to declare October the 25th as a national holiday and Thanksgiving Day, but October the 19th required a protracted struggle lasting 4 decades. However, one thing I've learned about struggle over the years is that if you have a cause that is noble and just and are willing to make the necessary sacrifice to see it through, no matter how difficult or how long it takes, it will eventually happen. In this regard, I would like to thank Prime Minister Deacon Mitchell and his administration for doing what no other government has done before. By doing what is right, by making this day a reality, and for listening to the cries of the people over the years that this is a day that should be recognized because of its transcendental importance in our history. There are many people who have contributed to that victory. Some are still present with us, and some are not. I would especially like to single out Brother Peter Bain of Grenville, the son of Norris Bain, one of the victims of October the 19th, who passed away 2 years ago, but whose dream and tireless efforts was to see this day. He always believed that one day this day of recognition would come, and his wife Nola said to me a few days ago that Peter would be both smiling and crying in his grave right now, for those tears would be tears of joy. I would like to give special recognition to Sister Peggy Nesfield for also being in the forefront of the struggle from the very beginning. For me personally, this is not a personal victory, but an effort at the rectification of our history, where finally proper recognition is given, where proper recognition is due. Even though it took us 40 years to get here, I'm happy that I myself and the families of the victims of October 19th are around to witness this. This day because many of us never lived to see the culmination of our efforts and the realization of our dreams. Now that this battle is won, we must now turn our attention and refocus our energies to another cause, an even greater cause, the cause of bringing final closure to the families of the victims of October the 19th. There's a modern-day mystery yet to be solved in Grenada. And despite our own efforts over the years, we are no closer to resolving that mystery, except for what I just heard from Father Dockett of the Catholic Church. This is the first time I've ever heard that version of it. But for what it's worth, how is it possible that the remains of not just anyone, but a head of state, a beloved prime minister, and others who perished with him on that fateful day could just disappear into thin air, and nobody seemed to know what happened to them until we just heard something? Bishop himself was not just another person. He was a geopolitical figure, a historical figure, whose outstanding leadership during the revolution touched the lives of people in America, Latin America, the Caribbean, Asia, and Africa, who looked to Grenada as an example of governance and development for the people of the Third World. Investigations over the years have led to two inescapable facts. After the savage executions on the fort, the court gang, instead of handing over the remains to their families for a proper burial, sought to dispose of them by burning them with car tires at a military camp in Calavini. The remains were recovered by the American soldiers in the aftermath of the US invasion of Grenada on October the 25th, 1983, and taken to the American Medical School. This is not propaganda, this is fact. After that, no one has been able to determine what happened to them until we just heard the intervention of Father Dockett that after the medical school they were incinerated. There's an interesting parallel to this in Africa. In 1961, Patrice Lumumba, that great African freedom fighter against Belgian colonialism, who became the first prime minister of the newly independent Republic of the Congo, was assassinated by firing squad after an uprising that was inspired by Belgian forces and the CIA of America. His body was dismembered and his remains were placed in a barrel of concentrated sulfuric acid, which destroyed it completely. For 61 years, no one knew what happened to it until intense investigations revealed that the only thing left of him was one of his teeth, a gold-capped tooth that was in the hands of the authorities in Belgium. After demands from the family, it was returned to them after 61 years. His son, Roland Lumumba, said, and I quote, "The return of the tooth meant that his family would be able to finish their mourning." This is how important it was to them. We hope in our case it is not going to last 61 years, and maybe we are closer again to that resolution from what we have just heard from Father Dockett. But I am therefore making a special appeal to the Prime Minister and his government to use your good offices and make whatever information is available to the public so that we can bring closure, just as the Congolese have brought closure to their own hero and martyr, Patrice Lumumba. If, however, these remains have been disposed in a manner, because we just heard they have been incinerated, and made them impossible to retrieve, then please give us that information so we can bring closure to this outstanding issue once and for all, and so that the families can finish their mourning. Once again, on behalf of the Morris Bishop and October 19th Martyrs Foundation, I thank you again, Prime Minister and your government, for your courageous and magnanimous gesture in making this day a reality. A solemn day of recognition and reflection, and not a day as usual, certainly not a day for festivities. But we need to go a little further and ensure that the history of this day and of the revolution is taught in the schools so that the young people can learn from the rich experiences of that period. Because it was not only about the negatives, but profound examples of leadership and programs to benefit the poor and the dispossessed were established during that period and are still relevant today. Finally, at the same time, it is still worth celebrating the lives and the sterling contributions of those who perished on October the 19th, 1983, and who have helped to bring us to where we are today as a people. So in the spirit and memory of our fallen heroes and martyrs, we continue to strive for a better Grenada and for full liberation for the Grenadian people. In closing, let us say, long live the spirit and memory of Morris Bishop and our heroes and martyrs. Long live the Grenadian people. Long live the bonds between the Cuban people and the Grenadian people. Let us forever go forward on our feet and never on our knees. Thank you very much.